Hello, everyone. My name is Bree. I am the co-host for our eighth annual BWS Awareness Day, and I would love to introduce to you one of our speakers, Tina. She is a BWS adult like myself, and she is also a BWS mom to three children with BWS, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Three,
yes.
three with, one without, and then one who is adopted. So five total, but three with
Oh,
BWS.
okay. Awesome. Oh, well, thank you so much for being here today. Share with us just a little bit about your own journey as a BWS adult or even in your childhood as well, depending on when you found out, and then about your kids.
Yeah, BWS has always kind of been like the backdrop of my life. When I was born in a very rural area of northern Michigan, and there wasn't a lot of resources. So it was one of those situations where I was born and immediately transported out of state because they weren't sure what was
Yeah.
going on with me as a child. I had doctors telling my parents, we don't know if this baby's going to survive, just take her home and love her. And
Oh,
without having genetic specialists, and of course, this was the early 80s. This wasn't
yep.
like, now where we have a lot of resources where you can just go online and find a community of people that you might be able to bounce ideas off of. They really didn't know what the situation was, but fortunately, I was lucky. I was thrived. I made it out of the NICU, made it out of the hospital, and there was a pediatrician who had had some experience with Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome, and he said, I think that's what she has. And without genetic testing, that was just the assumption for most of my life. I didn't really know for sure, but it explained a lot of things. So
Yes.
we
Yeah.
we lived under that assumption, it was really before there was good screening protocols. So I had ultrasounds maybe once a year until I
Mhm.
was 8 or 9 years old. It wasn't even like the every 3 months like we do now with the kids.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so it was kind of one of those things like, okay, yeah, I think I have this. And then as I became an adult, the understanding was, well, this is a random thing. This isn't something that's passed on. Well,
Yes.
surprise, I am part of the 15% of people with Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome that have heritable Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome. So when my twins were born, actually before they were born, I saw the ultrasounds and I was like, oh, those
You
ones
could
have
tell.
BWS. I
Yeah.
saw the tongues and I was like, I think they have BWS. And lucky for me, they were born in Las Vegas when we were living there at the time. And the pediatrician that was on call had experience with Beckwith-Wiedemann
Oh, that's
syndrome.
so good.
Um, we were able to get them genetically tested, and sure enough, that was the first real confirmation. It was when my first children were born, was when I confirmed that, yep, I've got it too.
Right.
Um,
Yes. Yeah.
there was still some question as to whether or not it was heritable. A few years later, had my second pregnancy, I guess, but my third child, my daughter, and they were like, "Oh, this one's gonna have Beckwith-Wiedemann." And I was like, "I don't know. I don't think so. I'm looking at this ultrasound. I don't think
Right.
so." Sure enough, she did not. And then fast forward 16 years, and my last daughter was born, and she is our little caboose with Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome. And that was one where she was the only IVF baby, but
Mhm.
we didn't test necessarily for Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome because that was not going to be a deal breaker for me.
Oh
I've had
yeah,
so
yeah.
much experience with kids with Beckwith-Wiedemann that I was like, if she's got BWS, the more the
We got
merrier.
this.
We
Right.
know how this works. We know how this works. And sure enough, she's rounded it out. So we are the majority in the house. BWS versus not BWS is we're winning.
That's awesome. I love it. I love your perspective on this too. Oh my goodness. Wow. I think that's a so I live in Michigan too, and I'm just thinking of northern Michigan, and yes, there are areas where you've got to, especially back in the 80s. I was
And
born in
again,
the
not
late
just northern
80s.
Michigan, the UP.
Oh,
So
there we go. UP. Yes,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
even
it's
more.
even, it's trees and deer. There's now a lot going on.
Yes, it's just honestly, it's I love Michigan. anyways, but yes, so having that access, that's awesome that they did the back then, like, oh, we're gonna helicopter out and this is where it's
Yeah.
going, and that's
Yeah, they
amazing.
did the whole ambulance ride, a couple of resuscitations on the way,
Yeah.
eventually made it down to Wisconsin, and Marshfield was where basically that was where they saved my life. And we did go full circle with Marshfield because that is the hospital that did my youngest daughter's tongue reduction surgery.
Oh my
So we were
gosh.
able to go back there and it was really cool.
Awesome. Do you want to speak more to, let's see here, as you're sharing, we can talk more about tongue reductions as it relates to, or just any other things that you've had to do to advocate for your kids, as well as advocate for your own journey
Yeah.
too. So,
Yes. So, because we are in kind of a medical desert, a lot of times when I go to a doctor, they are looking to me for information. They don't know about these conditions. We don't have the specialists where I am. So finding doctors that are either A, willing to learn, or B, willing to listen to my experience and make decisions based on that has been really important for us. So coming in, I don't want to say armed, but coming in with
no, I get what you mean.
information, you get everything together, you bring it to them, and you say, okay, this is what I know of my own condition. This is what I know of my child who it's confirmed has this condition. Here's what we need. And we have been so lucky. We have found some great pediatricians locally that they didn't know a whole lot about the condition prior to us, but they were willing to say, oh, yeah, okay, we get it, standing order for the ultrasound, standing order for the blood draws. We can make this happen so that we can get the good screening. And then when I'm saying, okay,
Awesome.
I need a referral out because this is beyond the scope of our hospital, like for a tongue reduction, they're willing to do that. It's not like they're, territorial over any of the kids. So just
Yeah.
finding doctors that really jive with you and are willing to listen and learn, that's been the most important thing. And, if you don't click with your doctor, it's okay to find a different one. And, you know, again, we've been really lucky and everyone that we've been working with has been amazing. But,
That's good.
you hear about that with other people in other parts of the country where they're having to fight tooth and nail. And, it shouldn't have to
Mhm.
be a fight. If you know what you need, it shouldn't have to be a fight. So just
Exactly.
staying strong.
I love that advice too. Staying strong, and like I love how you worded it, and I'm not gonna word it exactly how you did, but just it's okay to have a different doctor. If the first one you have doesn't work, or even the
Yeah.
second, or anything like that, or even when you go to specialists, if that specialist is not driving with you, it's okay. You don't have to stay in that
And,
lane. You
you
can,
know, I
yeah.
had to learn that the hard way when my twins were little and they had their tongue reduction surgery. To kind of back up a little bit, I had a tongue reduction surgery done up in Upper Michigan through a plastic surgeon. She
Mhm.
was a great plastic surgeon, but she didn't have any experience with Beckwith Wiedemann. I had my tongue reduction done when I was like 20 years old. And all she did was take off around the tip, like around the edges, and say, great, looks like a tongue. That is not exactly the best way to get that done.
Yeah.
When my twins were born, I was like, I want to go to somebody who's a craniofacial specialist who knows what they're doing. And we went down to U of M and
Oh, yes.
got a doctor. Well, we got a
No.
doctor who said he had experience, but really I needed to do a little more legwork on that. I needed to see the results of it. The surgeries he performed on my boys were very unsuccessful. They ended up with tongues that were very malformed, crooked, lumpy. They didn't heal well. We didn't get really good aftercare instructions, and
Oh,
I
no.
didn't know better. I didn't know better at the time. So a few years after that, I reached out to Dr. Marsh, and we were probably some of his last surgeries before retirement. He fortunately, when he saw the pictures of post the first surgery, he took on their case and
Oh,
did
yeah.
a correction on their tongues when they were 7. So then, now when we have my last one, little Maeve, let me tell you, I grilled that surgeon. uh,
Yes.
Dr. Brad Morrow at Marshfield. He is a pediatric plastic surgeon. And I was like, okay, so you got to show me your work, show me your full plan, show me what you want to do. What is your aftercare plan on this? How are we going to work on this?
Mhm.
And he's an awesome guy. Like I would recommend him to anyone. If anyone's
Oh,
looking
that's
for somebody
wonderful.
locally in the Midwest, like they don't want to go all the way out to the East Coast or all the way down to Florida, he's amazing. Everybody at Marshfield is amazing. And her surgery turned out great. But again, I had to learn the hard way. My surgery, not the best. My boy's first surgery, not the best. You know, I had to do it the hard way.
Well, yeah, and you think, and you're gonna like if you, especially because you're like, oh, the next person was more of a specialist, you're gonna be like, yeah, this is gonna work, and then yikes, okay, and so it's, I know, it's like
And
you
not
just need
saying
the
that
best,
you don't have to be like, I don't trust any of these doctors, but like,
right?
you've got to feel 100% comfortable because it is a major surgery. And if you are choosing to have a tongue reduction, this is going to affect them for the rest of their lives. Because with my boys, they had a lot of dental problems because their tongues for 5 years were not functional and they weren't, their mouths wouldn't clean themselves. So they had a lot of cavities, a lot of dental problems. You know, with my youngest, we probably could have gotten it done a little bit earlier because we waited on her just to make sure we could find the right surgeon. You know,
Yes.
she didn't have enamel on her teeth and it decayed those teeth away because of the open mouth breathing. So there's so many different things to look at, but man,
You
get
just
those
have,
reviews.
yes, get the reviews. I love that you said ask for a portfolio too, just so you can see. Um, and then yeah, I just want to stress like and be kind to yourself in the process because it's like you're doing all the things. It's like a second job sometimes with
Yeah.
medical things. And so it's just like you're doing the best as you know in that moment, and that's the best, and that's what your
Yeah.
kids need, right? So yeah, oh, that's yeah. I what's interesting, I'll relate a little bit to like the teeth thing. So I did not have to have a tongue reduction, but when I'm asleep, I can't keep my mouth fully
Oh yeah.
closed. And
No, I still
so
can't.
I know. And so, like, when I went into the dentist the other week or something, they're like, oh, your teeth look great, but the bone density is really lower than I thought. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. You're like,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
about that. Sorry.
Yep. And they're like, you could use mouth tape. And I'm like, I'm going to be like this, like pushing the mouth tape away. It's not going to work, but I don't
Yeah.
know.
I asked my youngest daughter's dental surgeon, the one who did the work on her teeth after her tongue reduction. And I was like, so
Yeah.
mouth tape, is that thing? Does that work?
Is it
And
good?
he was dead honest. He's like, I mean, you can try it if you want, but mm. So, you know,
That's good to know.
take it with a grain of salt, I guess.
Yes, exactly. Yep. Oh, so interesting. And so, let's see, how has awareness of BWS, like as your awareness journey kind of like going through your adulthood, as well as then the confirmation of when you had your kids that had BWS, that, okay, this is something that I do have. How has that awareness over the years helped with advocating?
Oh my gosh, it's been great. I mean, the internet and Facebook and all of these things where I went from being somebody who was totally alone. I've had never met anybody with the same condition as me. Nobody even had heard of it, to finding communities of thousands of people that are going through the same things and have kids going through the same things and just making friends through it. I had a coworker who was like, my sister has this friend who had this baby, that the baby has BWS. We should, get you guys together. I reached out to her over Facebook, gosh, 18 years ago. We are still friends. You
That's
know, we have
wonderful.
watched our little BWS babies grow into adults. Our kids are seniors in high school now, and it's just been
Um,
so phenomenal just meeting people all over the world that I never would have encountered that are going through this same journey and being able to say like, hey, I know it's scary right now because you have this tiny little infant in your arms and you have no idea what's happening, but look at this. Look at my children, look at me, look at all of us who
Yes,
are adults with
yes.
BWS, and you will make it through this and it's going to be so
Mhm.
much better. And just seeing the relief when they're meeting BWS adults. It's been
Yes,
amazing. Amazing. That's my favorite thing. My favorite thing.
I would agree with that too. Oh man, it's just uh like we have jobs, we have, we are happy, we're gonna be like the average person that has our moments, but
Yeah.
like we're here, we're contributing to society, we're all this stuff. So
Like
yeah,
showing that there's nothing wrong with having BWS. It's different, but it's not wrong. It's not bad. It's not less than. It's
a hundred
still,
percent.
you know, your baby's going to grow up to be amazing. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really cool when we have that opportunity to help, especially those new parents, over that hump of fear when they get that diagnosis.
Yes, I agree with that so much. Um, And then, man, you've already sprinkled so many good like tips of advice throughout here, but I'll ask just the question so maybe you can have a few just right here for people. And if like you have more than one, 100% sure. So what's a tip or piece of advice that has really made a difference for you that you feel others need to hear?
Run your own race. I know that's a Bluey episode. I'm gonna steal it from that. Definitely came from Bluey, but the milestones of BWS kids and how they're going to be progressing and how they are going to get to where they need to get to, it might not always follow exactly what the little chart says. Heck, I've never been on the chart. I am 6'2". I have been off the charts since the day I was born. I was a preemie that was born at 7 pounds 14 ounces. Like I'm telling you, there is no chart that contains me. That's okay. And that's the thing is like make BWS mean what you want it to mean. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong. It doesn't mean that there's something less than. It's just honestly something that you can use as a little interesting party information, an
Right.
icebreaker when you're
Yeah.
meeting somebody like, oh, and fun fact, I had a third of my tongue cut off when I was 20 years old. And they go, what? And then you can explain something. It's
And then you're
just
creating awareness in that way too.
right,
Like
right.
that's awesome.
But, you
Oh,
know, all your kiddos will get there. The worst part is that very beginning. The older they get, the easier it gets. And just keep going, keep going.
yes, exactly. Know that you're not alone. We're all here
Yeah.
in the group, everything like that. So, is there anything else you would like to share with us?
I guess I am one of those people that is always super open to talking to anybody if they ever have any concerns or if they just need to vent or they want my advice or just they want a friend who has Beckwith Wiedemann and has kids with Beckwith Wiedemann. If you're in the Beckwith Wiedemann Facebook group, you'll see me floating around. I'm also on TikTok at Life with BWS. So definitely come find me. I am always my messages and my DMs are open.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. So, everyone, her arms are open, DMs are open. Um, I will make sure to put in the description here a link to her TikTok so you can go there. And just know again that we are not alone here. So, again, thank you so much, Tina, for your time, for your vulnerability, and for all your advice.
Well, thank you so much for giving me this platform to speak. This is awesome. I love any opportunity to talk. I am definitely a talker.
I love it. That's what it's here for. That's why you're on the speaker list. So that's perfect. Again, thank you so much.
Well, thank you.